But the conversation we're having just a short while ago is around the listeriosis case. You might remember Tiger Brands was implicated there. And in fact, that outbreak claimed the lives of more than 200 people. We're told there's new evidence that might be presented in the ongoing litigation, where there are over 1,000 people who are claimants in this ongoing lawsuit, the class action lawsuit. Hasina Gori is watching that story and once again is still with us here in court. I mean, not in court, hopefully not in the dock, but here in studio. And you were explaining to us, Hasina, a short while ago, what we understand this new evidence to be.
So from what we're understanding is the lawyers are claiming that in January 2024, the NHI, which is our National Health Institute that looks into communicable diseases, they found that the main strain, which has been identified as sequence 6, so ST6, that has been found to be linked directly to Tiger Brands enterprise facilities. So what that means is that when they tested the patients that were sick, when they tested the polonies that were consumed, but also the polonies that were found at the facility and at other parts of that facilities, that all those strains seem to be from the same sequence numbering. And what they explained from the report that I understood is, unlike human beings, where it takes generations for us to mutate our genes, that when it comes to bacteria and specifically listeriosis, it mutates within hours. So you'd find that the numbers would be within the same kind of family, in the 600s maybe.
Sure.
And that's how they then group them together to say that these all may have come from the same source. And also what they're showing for their proof is that once the facility was closed down, that we did not see any other outbreak since then of listeriosis. That when once all the polony was recalled, once the facility was closed down, we've not seen this pathogen still exist or come up in any other form. And that is the new evidence that they're claiming. According to the lawyers, they're also saying that since this new evidence was released in January 2024, Tiger Brands, which is the main company that owns Enterprise Foods, they have not done anything. This is, as you mentioned, an ongoing legal battle that is still in court, that pre-trial conferences are still ongoing, but we're still yet to see a trial date. We're still yet to see, when this matter will be heard in court and when all these claims would be tried. And I think that's something we need to reiterate, that these new evidence are coming out alongside a court trial, that this has not been tested as yet, and these are just evidence that has been said by the legal team that is representing those 1,000 claimants who have been affected by this listeriosis outbreak in 2017-2018.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, right? Where we are insofar as this case is concerned. So still pre-trial stages as it stands. Do we know what the claimants are asking for? I mean, is it just monetary compensation, or are they hoping that at some stage there'll be some kind of criminal prosecution here?
I'm sure that would be what the two parts that they will look for. One is actual compensation for the loss of lives, for the loss of income in those that may have been, lost their jobs, and for those that are disabled or are born with cerebral palsy, for, the loss of what they could have, and all that additional expenses that come with taking care of that child and the medical needs that have, come from and emanated from this. But I'm sure they would also look for prosecution of who exactly should be liable. I think that will be something that they would hope, because in a food company you would want to ensure that we don't see the same kind of outcomes in the future, where specifically with food contamination. And I think they reiterated in their claims that this affected the most vulnerable, the most poor in our communities, and that should be something that we should ensure doesn't happen again and doesn't burden a community that's already so burdened.
Absolutely. It's a bit disheartening, I suppose, that so much time has even passed and there hasn't been any kind of meaningful progress, some might say, in this particular case. Hasina, thanks for popping by and for helping us understand what's taking place. I understand there's a media briefing also expected later on today, so that is where I imagine there'll be a whole lot more of those details ventilated. Hasina Gori, SABC News reporter, of course, here on the channel.